Okay, it's about time. Welcome to Symposium on Climate Change Mitigation and the Energy Transition, held in Academia Sinica. Welcome to Academia Sinica. We are really honored this week. We have two special guests visiting Taiwan, Dr. Sean Huber and Dr. Klingenfeld. Already a few days, and they pay visit to President's office and Ministry of Science and Technology yesterday, and we had some interaction already. However, it's a very good opportunity for all Taiwan scientists to interact with these two special guests. So that's why we arranged this symposium, and it's open for all participants. Before we begin the sessions, we have two opening remarks. The first one will be given by our President Liao, James Liao. So please welcome President James Liao.
Good morning. Yes. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First, I'd like to welcome our guests from Germany on behalf of Academia Sinica, Dr. Sean Huber and Dr. Klingenfeld. Dr. Sean Huber has been visiting Taiwan for at least a couple of times. Last time was in 2015. And this time he spent 3 days visiting with various organizations in the government, in the research organizations, understanding the efforts and the problems that we are facing in Taiwan. Dr. Sean Huber is an extremely well-known scholar in the area of climate impact. He's the founding director of the Potsdam Institute of Climate Impact Research. And he's the first one to propose the 2 degrees Celsius target for climate change. And now we know that has been revised to 1.5 degrees Celsius. And this is an extremely difficult task. And in fact, very few people knows or have any idea how to do it. So I'd like to quote what we talked about yesterday, and a quote from Mandela. It all seems impossible until it's done. And that's exactly what we are facing today. And this situation is particularly difficult in Taiwan because we know we are a small island without any energy resources. And we have to generate all the energy from our land, but we only have very limited amount of area. So it's particularly challenging. So today, I'm very happy to see that we have this symposium with the world-renowned scholars talking about energy transition and how to develop policies moving towards that goal. And we're happy that we attracted quite a few scholars from Taiwan. So unfortunately, I can't stay for the whole meeting. I also have to go to another meeting right after this. Otherwise, I would like to spend the whole day here discussing this very important issue. Finally, I also like to quote one other quote from Bill Gates. He said that most people overestimate what we can do in 1 year, but underestimate what we can do in 10 years. So let's not be too anxious trying to accomplish the goal in 1 year. Let's be persistent and consistently making efforts toward this very important goal. Okay, we all share the ultimate goal of carbon neutrality in 2050. So with that, I welcome you to this very important symposium, and wish you had a fruitful discussion. Thank you very much.
Okay, The second remark will be given by Deputy Director General from German Institute, that's the embassy, German. Okay, please, the Sabrina. Okay, Schmidt-Koschella, please.
Thank you very much. Sabrina is okay. My name is too long and too difficult. Dear Dr. Liao, President of Academia Sinica, Mr. Alan Lin from the Executive UN, Professor Schellenhuber, Dr. Klingenfeld, Gui Bin, Dadia Hao. It is my honor and my pleasure to welcome once again Professor Schellenhuber to Taiwan. He came here first in September 2015 to give a presentation right here in Academia Sinica. And I remember we also met the president back then, that was Ma Ying-jeou at the time, who was extremely interested in Germany's energy transition and was proudly introducing Taiwan's climate goals and nuclear-free homeland policies. At that time, back in 2015, Taiwan had just passed its CO2 Greenhouse Gas Emission Reduction Act. The law sets Taiwan's 2050 emission reduction target at 50%, the level of 2005. I'm not quite sure how close Taiwan has reached, but the last figures I saw, there is still some room for improvement. Germany wants to be carbon neutral by 2050. Until now, we have managed to reduce CO2 emissions by 33% compared to the 1919 figures. However, looking at current developments, we will not reach our target of minus 40% for next year. However, Germany is determined to reach the next targets of minus 55% in 2030 and eventually be carbon neutral by 2050. The midterm future looks promising, especially since Germany has been successfully integrating renewables into our energy mix. We started with 3% green energy back in 2000, and in 2015 we broke the 30% threshold, and in 2018 we passed the 40% barrier. And the figures for the first half of 2019 already point at 45% or maybe even more. Germany records more and more days when PV and wind are covering 100% of our energy needs, and not just on Sundays or public holidays. Just like Taiwan, Germany will phase out nuclear by 2022. We are well on track for closing down the last 7 nuclear power plants, taking out 9.5 gigawatt. And Germany is also phasing out coal. We are looking at 43 gigawatt of coal-fired power plants to be shut down until 2038, and most likely even earlier. Professor Schellenhuber was party to the local commission, to the coal commission, to set up the phase-out plan and consider the structural adaptations. Sustainability and green energy are the main focus areas of the German Institute. Since my arrival 5 years ago, we have been very busy talking about the German experience, discussing the holistic approach Germany is taking, and answering questions on green energy installations, the success of offshore wind farms in the North and Baltic Seas, issues like energy efficiency, financing the energy transition, energy market liberalization, talent cultivation and training, mobility solutions of the future, and many more. We signed 2 MOUs on energy transition policy and on emission reduction to set the framework for our cooperation. 5 years ago, I started out talking about the holistic approach Germany is taking, and I fondly remember a presentation here in Academia Sinica 2 years ago. But very quickly, the topics I was asked to speak about became a lot more precise and detailed, and most recently, me, the amateur, was finally able to give way to the real experts who are now building offshore wind parks. And speaking about the real experts, this is Professor Dr. Schellenhuber. He has been amongst the first to look into climate change and has been advising the German as well as EU and other governments, even the Pope, on the impacts. He is the advisor on climate change issues to our Chancellor Angela Merkel, 2 physicists together. He founded the Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact Research. He is highly decorated and a long-standing member of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2007. Maybe most notably, already in 1995, Professor Schellenhuber put forward the 2-degree bar for global warming, which had been adopted first by the German government and then by the European Union, and then, following the Copenhagen Accord in 2009, as a global target by governments worldwide. Professor Schellenhuber spent most of his life warning about global warming, climate change impacts, and explaining the tipping elements. He has faced lots of criticism by people who fail to see the greater picture. He has been laughed at and ridiculed. Now, we notice the Arctic ice melting at record speed. Iceland just mourned the death of a 700-year-old glacier. Siberia and Canada are faced with a melting permafrost ground. The forests in the northern hemisphere are suffering. The Amazon rainforest is burning. And while some might find it great that navigating the Arctic, exploiting its resources, might now be possible, other areas of the world face desertification. India is lacking drinking water. Pacific Islanders watch their atolls and reefs disappearing. Typhoons and hurricanes are getting much fiercer. Germany saw a record heat wave this summer. 8 out of the hottest 10 summers since weather recording occurred this century. The weather, microclimates, have been changing all the time. But now, scientists record climate change happening on a global scale. Indonesia sees its capital sinking and has just announced to relocate Jakarta to a higher and drier place. And some experts even demand the same for Taipei. The vast majority of scientists understand climate change and the contribution mankind makes. The nations of this earth agreed in Paris to save the world. Taiwan came up with a strategy to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. We see a youth movement all over the world of students skipping school on Fridays to raise attention to the climate issue. The climate topic is now winning or losing elections. People now expect their governments to act. And only a few are left laughing at Professor Schellenhuber or Greta Thunberg or the young students lining the streets on Fridays. The only solution is the deep decarbonization of the way we generate energy, the way we produce our industrial products, the way we consume. So I'm very much looking forward to the presentations and the expert talks. Dziękuję bardzo.
Thank you very much. Can have a small group photo in the beginning, so the first row special guest, please